urgent tone, global energy markets are reacting to a sudden supply disruption, sending fuel prices into a period of extreme volatility. When the flow of oil is threatened, economic panic follows immediately. The origin of this shockwave is the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. At its narrowest points, the shipping lanes are compressed between these landmasses, creating a physical bottleneck that dictates the pace of global energy transit. Iran's presence along the northern coast allows them to actively restrict safe passage, effectively choking off a primary artery for the world's oil supply. Geography has turned this single route into a weapon, leaving every nation dependent on these shipments, vulnerable to localized conflict. The crisis impacts nations differently, with the level of economic damage scaling directly with a country's specific percentage of energy imports. Japan faces an acute crisis, as approximately 75% of their total oil supply is forced through this single, compromised choke point. This disruption is already impacting Japanese industry, where manufacturing costs are rising alongside growing fuel shortages. India is slightly more insulated by comparison, yet they still rely on the strait for roughly 40% of their total oil imports. For these nations, securing the strait is a matter of immediate domestic survival rather than distant foreign policy. The scale of the economic threat has forced historically hesitant nations to change their defensive postures. A group of European nations and Japan recently issued a joint statement, declaring their unified intent to secure the waterway. These allies are now committing military and diplomatic resources to the region to ensure safe passage through the strait. Donald Trump leveraged this shared vulnerability to unite these allies under an American-led security mandate, calling for collective action against the disruption. This economic desperation has acted as a catalyst, pulling globally dependent nations under a U.S.-led protection umbrella. Beneath the visible military response, a significant shift is occurring in the underlying structure of the global energy market. Liquefied natural gas, or LNG, is natural gas cooled to a liquid state for transport on specialized ships, allowing it to bypass fixed land pipelines. In 2021, Europe imported 100 billion cubic meters of gas from traditional Eastern suppliers. That supply dropped to 37 billion cubic meters, leaving a massive void. The U.S. captured this deficit, increasing gas exports to Europe from 21 to 81 billion cubic meters. This fourfold increase means that while the U.S. provides military protection, it is also positioning itself as the primary energy provider for the European continent. While Western powers mobilize militarily, India is deploying an alternative strategy focused on mediation. India has initiated direct diplomatic communications, seeking to de-escalate the crisis through dialogue. Prime Minister Modi activated a strategic network, engaging in direct talks with French President Emmanuel Macron and the Prime Minister of Malaysia. This coalition includes vital Middle Eastern leadership, specifically the King of Jordan and the Emir of Qatar. France has publicly acknowledged India's role in championing this diplomatic approach as a way to lower tensions with Iran. India is establishing itself as a vital mediator, capable of negotiating across political divides where Western military power cannot. The crisis at Hormuz now moves on two separate paths: Western military mobilization on one side and Indian-led diplomacy on the other. As long as the strait remains restricted, the consequences will continue to be felt at the pump, as global fuel shortages drive prices higher. The standoff at the Strait of Hormuz is a contest over the future dependencies and alliances of the global economy.